Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome you here at this session. It will be in English, as you might know. My name is Pavol. I'm from SciJig. I'm a product manager. Today I will be just moderating, asking some questions on these lovely gentlemen that we invited for the event. Maybe we should start with some basics. You can ask questions on slido.com, #NOC. So if you have anything, feel free to ask. Even in Slovak, it's okay. We'll just translate it afterwards. Okay, let's start with you. Maybe some short introductions. We can start from Deepak here from Nokia. Through, as you said, you came to Nokia through chain of acquisitions from startups through Alcatel and now to Nokia. Could you maybe please tell a little bit about your background?
So, my name is Deepak. I lived in the US for a long time. I did my master's in the US. And I was, my entire work life was in the US in Silicon Valley. And then 5 years ago, I moved to Slovakia on work. I'm taking care of the engineering team here for Nokia. Before Nokia, it was Alcatel. Recently, Alcatel was acquired by Nokia, and now we are Nokia. Obviously, I was born in India. Did my computer science engineering in India, moved to the US, did my master's there, worked all my life, and now I'm here. I worked in a lot of startups, and the way I landed up in Nokia is I was working in a startup which was acquired by some other company, which is Riverstone. Riverstone was acquired by Lucent. Lucent was with Alcatel. Alcatel became Nokia. So now.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. Welcome. Second one, Petr Košina from Asset.
Okay, so as Pavol mentioned, I'm from Asset. I have been with them for slightly more than a decade. Originally started as the malware analyst after finishing studying the theoretical computer science here at the University of on the same hill. And basically, we go from the malware analyst over the developer of some of the core parts of the detection technology. I slowly evolved to some position of the kind like I tend to play with interesting things and see whether they are worth of pursuing further. I'm not the one who's finishing them. I'm the one who might be starting them or saying, yeah, this doesn't really make sense to actually pursue further. So doing from the R&D part, in this case, it is mostly like the R part, doing the research for fun and sometimes for profit.
Sounds like a lot of fun. Okay, and last but not least, from both Innovatrics and from basically here, Drahoš. So welcome. Maybe a little bit about how is it living on two chairs.
Thanks for having me. My background is a bit more complicated. I'm teaching at the Faculty of Informatics and Information Technology right here, so many students probably know me. And I'm teaching in this room, so it's familiar to me. But I'm also working in application field, so I'm working for Innovatrics as part of the SDK team that focuses on actually deploying the results of research into our products. So we are actually doing R&D. So that's one part of my background, and I'm also a part-time researcher at the faculty. So I'm also doing academic research, which is only the R part. That's probably it.
Must be a quite unfamiliar feeling to being asked questions, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so hope you will like it as well. Cool. So the topic is from R&D to tech revolution. So maybe we could start with some just basics. For example, we talked that you spent a lot of your life in San Francisco, then you came here to Slovakia. Could you maybe tell what are the key differences, or what was the first thing that struck you when you came here and you were like, wow, this is not how it works?
There is nothing like, it's something totally different from what we do in San Francisco. Research and development is research and development. It's the same. I don't know if it's working or not, but my mother tongue is not English. If you don't understand me, just stop me, and if there is something interesting you want to know, just ask me. But research and development, I will try to turn it around into a little bit of a different perspective from the engineer's perspective, right? And the way, probably the main difference between Silicon Valley and anywhere else, it doesn't have to be any other country, even in the US, between Silicon Valley and Boston, say for example. And there is a difference between engineers and programmers, right? What we do, what we study here, we are trying to become engineers. We are not trying to become programmers. But we are software developers. So, programming is part of our life. But before you start programming, you have to do a lot of research. That is the engineering part. We create solutions for the problems. We have to find solutions. So we, for any problem that comes across, we have to ask questions. Why are we developing this? Why is it needed? Who needs it? What exactly is needed? Right? So that is the research part. We do a lot of questioning, and we try to, based on our understanding of the question, we come up with a solution. That is the engineering part. Once we understand the problem, once we have a solution, we realize it through programming. Right? So you should get out of this mentality of being a programmer. You have to have the engineering perspective. Right? That is the main difference between Silicon Valley and somewhere else. Right?
Yeah, right. Okay, Peter, you mentioned that your job is basically to play around and see what works and what doesn't. How much of your time do you actually spend on research, like heavy research?
I would say about 120%, give or take 10% up or down. But practically, yes, it is really the thing that research is the part which is fun. Programming can get dull. Sometimes it is like, yes, you know what you want to do, you just need to do all the important steps, you just need to finish all the possible corner cases and so on. But research is the part where you can have a lot of fun, and which means that you don't finish thinking of a problem just because you left the workplace for the day. It is something that you can think of all the time. It is not something that you need a computer for. Many of the problems that we are looking at are ones that you actually can think, you can play with. You need a paper, but you don't need a computer to play with them. You can get some idea of, like, I'm going to be dealing with lots of things. I'm going to be dealing with 10,000 of them, 10 million, 10 billion. This is the idea that you need to get from the hard data that you are dealing with. But after that, you get a rough idea. You don't need to play with the exact details, but you can actually figure out, this is how I want to do it. You don't need to do the implementation straight away. This is one of the things where I'm not that good actually to do the completely finish something. I'm the one who actually can play with it, try. Okay, this might work. This is an idea that could work. Do some proof of concept type of thing. Like, this is how it could be done. And now we can do it properly in a stable, maintainable, understandable, translatable way. But that's the part where the research is almost done. This is when you can still stumble upon problems which you encounter later. For example, you see that, yes, this idea worked very nice. It was almost completed, then we figure out, okay, there is this one small problem which everybody forgot about at the beginning. But it's not something that happens, fortunately, very often. This is exactly, the more time you spend on the research part, the less you need for development, because the better you have thought of all the possibilities of what needs to be done and how it could be solved beforehand. But generally, I said 120 is probably when compared to my full employment, the total number of hours that I spend at work, yes, it is more than that. But it is not that I spend all the time at work doing this. There are sometimes really things which are unrelated to it. But really, it's about fun for me. So it's something that I both enjoy, and the results of it are very often useful, which is good. Sometimes they are not as immediate. I figure out that something wouldn't work, but it's still good because you learn from the mistakes, you learn from what doesn't work, and you don't need to repeat it again.
Maybe a similar question, but from your perspective, what is the, let's say, a good ratio between the research and development? How much time would you spend on research and how much time on development? Is there something like that, or it depends?
Well, it depends on the motivation you do the research for. That's the main difference. From the academic perspective, the motivation is completely different. We do research to actually satisfy our curiosity. We don't do it for a profit, not for products. We just publish what we find, and that's it. That's our academic curiosity. Sometimes there are patents from it, but usually there is no product. But from the practical point of view, the research part and the development part sometimes usually go hand in hand. So you can't do research without thinking about the deployment and how it is implemented and how it will be applied in a product. So this is the primary difference between research-oriented task and research and development-oriented task. And that I think is something I see a lot more clearly because I do academic research and I also try to apply research into a practical product as part of my work in Innovatrics.
Very good question from the audience. Could you give us any examples of the research that occupy in the recent time? Maybe if you can, Deepak, is there something you can share? It's not confidential.
Yeah, no, you should not think research as something that is secret and you are trying to come up with a brand new thing. On a day-to-day life, there are you may have a product and you are working on new functionality, new feature, right? Who works on this new functionality and features? Engineers do. There is a reason why a functionality is required in the market, right? That is absolutely something totally new. I'll give you probably this is what you're going to do when in your professional job, right? Say Uber. Just taking an example of Uber. Is it a product company? Is it something research oriented? Is it R&D? In my mind, it's not. Right? It's just an application that is developed to make life people easy. Right? But say for example, what Innovatrics is doing or what SF is doing, you're constantly coming up with something new research to provide some kind of a platform or an infrastructure to build products on top of it. Right? There's a lot of thinking that is needed, a lot of engineering that is needed to solve a problem. Right? So if there is, again, don't concentrate on this word research. Everybody, any company for that matter, unless you are in an educational institution, every company develops products for profit. They cannot afford to just do research and profit. Right? If given a chance, everybody wants to do the research. Everybody wants to search for the new thing and not do anything else, not do the development part. It's not going to work that way. Right? So we have in Nokia, we have this Bell Labs. Right? I don't know whether you have heard of Bell Labs or not. Bell Labs is a pure research organization. But from outside it looks like they just do the research. No, it's not. They do the research and they build a prototype and they give it to engineering organizations to continue developing on that. Their job is to purely build prototypes. Right? And engineering organizations, like the rest of the company, takes it and develops into a product that could be sold for profit.
Prototyping is a good topic we could cover a little later on. From what I understand, there's basically a difference between research and maybe research, because there's academic and there's short-term, like on operative tasks basically, and there's long-term research of the company, so you want to do a major shift or something like that. Um, uh, when you said you're doing a lot of research, is there something maybe in the long term where would you like to see as maybe a new product or something that you might share? Is it possible?
Truly, Ivo, and combine two questions that I see. One of them being the interesting examples of research that occupy in recent time, and the other one being what is going to be the next big thing.
Go ahead.
Well, this is one of the things that we try to do in the sense that we, when there were mobile phones, the smartphones appeared, we did try to actually be ready because as soon as it is a proper computer that can run user-installed applications, it is something that is going to be a target for attacks. And we were actually right. We did try to have something ready by the time this really the mobile phones, smartphones became very common. And these days, the magic buzzword of the day is Internet of Things. All these magic devices that are running everywhere and they are vulnerable through and through because many of them were never developed with security in mind. They were developed with usability in mind at best, and at worst it was price in mind. Like how to do it as cheap as possible and sell it as quickly as possible and then just disappear back to Bahamas. So the main thing is the security was never Panama. Panama is not a good place these days from what I heard and read. So practically speaking, one of the things that is there are many devices which are vulnerable and many more of them are going to appear. We are getting the cars which are being smarter and smarter, sometimes not really for the customer's benefit. There are other devices which are getting brains which used to be the stupid dumb ones. And as a result, these devices are very often running platforms so fully fledged for running bad stuff that the bad guys will surely figure out how to abuse them, and the good guys need to be ready to actually be able to defend them. The train was missed in some way when it comes to many of the home devices, the smart TVs, IP cameras, I don't know, home routers are a very good example of vulnerable device in most cases. And those are the ones that we do see how to protect. This is part of long-term running research that we are looking into what other platforms might be the ones interesting for being protected or which actually people might not know that they need to be protected or these devices need to be protected, but yet they are because they can provide very good foothold for attacker to start doing something bad. Obviously, we are a security company, therefore most of what we do is related to security, protecting devices, customers, data, and so on. So from this perspective, yes, we are expecting there to be more devices to be connected, more devices to be vulnerable, and therefore more devices for us to protect. And we are constantly improving the possibilities of how to protect them, even if they maybe don't even want to be protected in the first place. Many of them were not really designed to be protectable in some easy way.
So it might be the case that in a few years I'll be driving a car that has asset product installed in it.
We certainly hope so.
or a fridge. I saw that there are smart fridges already.
I hope you are not going to be driving the fridge.
Well, yeah, hopefully not. Prototyping was mentioned a lot of times. Is it something you do also on academic research, prototyping?
We do only prototyping because you basically throw it away once it's finished. So from the academic perspective, you need something to get results from, to measure something, to evaluate something. So you have to implement it. You have to be a software engineer. There's no way around it. You can't just can be in a position of mathematician that you can just deal with symbols and proofs. It doesn't work that way. Certainly not in computer graphics, which I'm interested in. So we have to work with the latest hardware, the latest software, the latest drivers, with the latest research. We develop a product that basically, sometimes with the help of students, of course, that basically gets thrown away once the research is finished because it's not the prototype we care about, it's the results we care about. And once we have the results, the prototype is basically useless. So yeah, there's a lot of prototyping. And most prototypes don't produce results, that's the main take.
Yeah, maybe a question for all of you. In my team there's 5 engineers, and they're more engineers than they are researchers, so sometimes they feel kind of bad about doing some prototyping and then throwing it all away, because that's what prototypes are for. Just do it and then you throw it away. So how do you see it? Are you like feeling get like a little bit of pain in the back of your head when you have to throw it away?
So, in reality, most in for-profit companies, most of the prototypes are developed with the intent of making it a product. Right? You cannot build a product from scratch and keep on thinking that I'm going to build a product without the prototype. You have to have the proof of concept. You have to sell it to whoever it is, whoever is going to put money in it. When I say whoever is going to put, if the company has to put money in whatever you are developing, you have to show that it is valuable. Right? So you have to build a prototype with the intent of building the product, and you don't build the product first and then and try to sell it. So you have to build the prototype. Again, this the notion of research and this development and all those things, we take it too seriously. In real life, it is just trying to be an engineer, try to think solutions for the problems. The first you have to, doesn't matter, I saw a question, what is the next big thing in IT? How does it matter? You are the one who is supposed to come up with the next big thing. And there are a lot of different areas that we are working on. If you look at three of us, we are working in 3 different areas. So there are a lot of new big things coming out of these different areas because of the people who are working in that area. You can come up with a next big thing in any area that you are working on if you are smart enough and if you do the right things in those areas. You have to be smart, you have to be an expert in this area. So you have to build those expertise, right? So it is all about human capabilities and how the humans try to develop those skills, right? Most of the people, not most of the people, like many people get into this area, software development, because there is money. Really, because a lot of people, it's very easy to get a job. Right? Everybody works to take care of their family, to take care of their beloveds and things like that. At the end of the day, we work for money, and it's very easy to get a job in this area. But if we try to join this area because of the money, we fail. We have to succeed in this area, right? That's why you have to be smart and you have to think right. And you have to try to become an engineer. You have to think like an engineer. And then obviously you have to develop, you have to be a good programmer. With these 2 skills, the engineering skill and the programming skill, you can come up with the next big thing in the area that you're working in, right? Not many people go into a certain area thinking that there is going to be a next big thing in this particular area, and they start working on that. A lot of people join some companies, start working on some specific thing, they build the expertise in that area, and they start thinking about the next big thing in that area. Right? So there is nothing like what is the next big thing in the whole wide world. It is about people building the next big thing in the area that they are working in.
Okay, I heard a very interesting mention of we are looking for solutions for problems. I will now probably make the other Peter somewhat upset, because from what I have seen, there are many smart people in academic research. Sometimes the big news is that some of the research I have read in various areas is actually not a solution for a problem, but a problem for a solution. Someone came up with an idea that didn't really work, but then in order to make it meet the academic criteria, it ended up with inventing a problem in order to make this solution work for the problem, which ended up with solution for a problem which doesn't really matter, which nobody actually cares about, and which is not real in the sense that it wasn't something that needs to be solved in the first place. But still, in the academic world, this might pass as yes, this is the right thing. At the same time, there are these very smart people who were actually working on could have been used better for their skills, could have been used better for actually solving real problems which do come from the practical world. There is sometimes very big disconnect between the academia and the real world, which is very unfortunate, which actually might be one of the differences between Silicon Valley and other places. There seems to be a much better connect between the industry and the academia, which is still somewhat lacking in the area like this in artificial Slovakia, but not only Slovakia, quite a few other countries are suffering from the same problem. It is, yes, they are thinking of problems to be solved, but these problems are actually not bothering anybody. They are just made up in order to produce a solution for them. From what we have seen, there is the notion that research needs to be done with development, prototyping is important, which is of course true. Sometimes, for my perspective, possibly the border of research is actually much further after the prototyping phase, which is possible why I see like I'm still doing research, not any development, because I'm seeing what I am doing as research. Yet it might be seen as development actually. But with the problems that are being solved, there are more than enough of them. There is any of the areas you can actually read about, you can think of. It is not something that is problematic to come up with a problem which is actually real and can be solved. In the area of security, we are seeing that every day we do have lots of ideas of what could be done. Not all of it is actually work from a profit point of view. It is not something that a for-profit company could do or would do, because it might be something that would be either loss for them or not something that would be beneficial. At the same time, the same kind of questions could be answered by academia very well. This is one of the reasons why we actually started such a cooperation with the universities here by founding a research center. It is one of the places where we hope that it might actually support the cooperation and solving problems which are both useful and, when they are solved, and actually interesting both for academic point of view, so that the magic criteria is satisfied as it should be. So, and of course, the last question which was there was the price, whether if the people are going there for money or not. Well, my experience says that if the person asks at an interview, if they ask, so how much am I going to get, because I heard that this pays well, then they are not the right person. Many of these guys that we had actually never asked how much they are going to get, because they just liked what was interesting. And they were either positively or negatively surprised by seeing their salary, but it was still something that was worth, because they liked it. I myself was like this. When I joined, I was working for payment which was somewhat below par, and as a result, for the first 3 months, I didn't get paid. I didn't request that yes, I should be getting the payment. And all of a sudden, I was like, oh, it is interesting. Why did you tell me that? Because I liked it. Because it's fun. This is one of the things where people are overestimating the money, underestimating the fact that work which is interesting, which they like, might be actually better than one which is slightly better paid, but they don't really enjoy.
Maybe I will rephrase the first question that's there. The original is, how much does the price matter when you have the possibility to come up with a great innovation? I would like to rephrase that. Is it possible that one day I will just wake up and will come up with a great innovation that will change everything? Or is it rather a step-by-step process?
Well, I will try to tie it with the previous answers, because some of the academic research may seem pointless, and sometimes it is. It's not doubt about it, but sometimes the innovation happens 30 years after the research. And then you will look back and see that, okay, we did the research, it's already there, it was there 30 years ago, but nobody has done the engineering. And that's the case with virtual reality. We had articles on it from the 70s. There was actually no hardware for it. Yes, there was no hardware for it. And today it's the next big thing in entertainment and many other areas, but nobody could predict it then. So it may be pointless, and it's hard to identify what price the research has, because the price and benefits of the research may come up way later. Sometimes the original authors are not even alive. So, yeah, it's hard. From the academic perspective, it's not something we can predict. But from the practical applications, you usually try to do research that will have direct benefit on your product. So, for example, in Innovatrics, we applied deep learning algorithms in some of our solutions and came up with great results, and we are attacking top position in the certain field that we are interested in, because we have invested in the research and because we are following the academic research also. So it's hard to tell, but from the applied research research area, you can invest with more or less predictable results what your research will benefit you. But all research is negative in terms of price. You will pay for it, always.
Maybe a follow-up question on that. How do you keep research and reality, or the current state of things, together? Because, as you said, some research that has been done 30 years ago is just being applied right now as the next big thing. So, is there some way
so
of...
it's common sense, right? Because, the prize that is, you can come up with a really great innovation. It becomes a great innovation only if somebody sees the value in it. When I say somebody sees the value, the people with money, they have to see the value. Then they put the money. It's their hard-earned money that they have to put. So they have to see the value in your innovation. You may think, you have come up with a great innovation, but if somebody else with money doesn't see money being produced in this innovation, it's not going to go anywhere. Right? So it just becomes one of those 20, 30 years ago, whatever is developed, it's just going to sit in the closet, not see the light of the day. And it becomes great, like Google, say, for example, right? Or Facebook. It's a great innovation because they developed it, right? And somebody saw, the professors in Stanford saw the value in this Larry Page's search engine, or Larry and Sergey's search engine, and they put money. Stanford put some money in there, and then they started building this search engine. And others, the investors saw a lot of potential in this. They started putting money in this. If they did not see those potential, if the people with money did not see the potential, it would have been any other. Right? So it all matters. Like the price of innovation all depends on the people with money. If they see value or not. If they see value in this or not. Number one. Second thing is, I'll quickly go to the second question. Regarding...
No, I have one more thing on this. How do you define success in research? Because you just do a prototype that you just hand over to an engineering team and they start building it. So how do you define research?
So most of the time, nobody builds, even a prototype without somebody asking for it. A lot of people do a lot of market research, a lot of background research on something. They come up with a problem. Engineers look at the problem and start thinking of a solution. It's very rare, or in terms of percentage itself, the pure research, pure innovation without some market research doesn't happen much, right? So only organizations like Bell Labs or probably your companies have that kind of groups, but most of the time you try to research on something that the market needs.
Sorry about the second question, but I wanted to ask Peter about it because I guess he's a good person to answer that. So do you think it's possible to do important research from Slovakia for the global market?
So certainly so, because as I said, there are enough areas, even in the small field, of relatively smaller field of computer security, there is enough stuff that can be done. We still do not have easy and simple way of, for example, authenticating ourselves, introducing ourselves to computer systems. There are many ways which are secure, there are many ways which are easy to use, but there are very few ways in which actually combine these two to be both secure against imposters, against stealing of identity, and so on. We have seen that yes, it's a simple idea. Yes, I will use my fingerprint to authenticate to my phone. As it turns out, you take just a picture of it, or take a fingerprint from a glass, and you can produce a fake one to unlock your phone, which is one of the very bad things. It seems like a simple idea. This is one of the cases where the research concluded very simple. Like, yeah, okay, if you work, it's biometrics, it's not falsifiable, it's very easy to do. And then the engineering came, implemented it, and then the reality hit and decided, okay, this doesn't actually work as simple as you think. What we see in area of security, the problems are never getting, like the attacker is never getting weaker. If there is any problem, if there is something is vulnerable, it will only get worse over time, never better. Therefore, even we do need to figure out a solution, and this is something that there are interesting startups in Slovakia which are founding the idea of how to, for example, authentication in both a secure and comfortable way. There are other areas. There is the area of face recognition. Again, a few startups in Slovakia are doing research in this area, which is something that can be actually solved for big millions to, or I don't know how many zeros there will be at the end, but those are the ideas where a good idea of how to do things combined with very skilled engineers, the programmers who are able to implement it in a way which can be seen to be valuable. Because there are many ideas which are very nice on paper and never get into reality because it's simply impossible to do. This is possibly what was mentioned by the tie of research and development. But there is more than ever, even in our small field, and I'm sure there are other fields of research, not necessarily related to the security, that are interesting as well. There is, as I said, face recognition or the biometric recognition, monitoring of people, recognizing lost people on pictures from, I don't know, shopping malls. You can find out that someone was lost or there is an attack happening somewhere, and more and more research based on sound. And of course, there are the areas which currently seem to be mostly theoretical, and I think quantum computer, again, things that was discussed a long time ago, sci-fi authors also liked it quite a lot. But the important part was, from the theoretical point of view, we had quite a good idea what we could do once someone manages to build a computer. The physicists and computer scientists knew what they would do as soon as someone actually manages to put those three weird things together in a way that actually works. And when they put four of them, it would be much more powerful and so on. So there is a research that is pure at the moment because there is no physical manifestation that it can be used on. But this, we already know, if someone manages to do this, we could do all these funny and interesting things with it already. So there is surely something involved also in the academic world with being researched in this area. So there is.
So maybe from an academic perspective, were there any researches that were globally successful?
Well, we do have some successful research. We have a very strong neural network team here, and we have a strong semantic web team that is widely recognized, but only in the academic area because it's hard to apply this research into products, as I said before. I will try to address also the question because I think there is great research done both academically and in the applied informatics in Slovakia, but usually only the best students get to pick this job. So that's something the students should be driving for. And sometimes, as a teacher, so I have to plug this in. There's also possibilities to do research actually on the academic in the academic space with commercial investors and other firms investing into that research. So if you find a topic that interests you and you think it's the next thing, then you can create, you can do your dissertation on it, you can do your doctoral thesis on it, whatever, we are open for it. So this is something that happens, but it's not predictable. No one will guarantee you that you will be successful. And if you will be successful, then the benefits are not really tied to what country you come from.
Deepak, I guess this is a perfect question for you. Do you think startup is a good way to do a research?
I don't think startup is a good way to do the research because startups have got one thing in mind. They already have the problem, right? So if you are trying to build something without knowing the problem, you are trying to research and come up with a problem and then the solution, startup is not the best way. Startup in a traditional system is they already know the problem and they are working on a solution, right? And that is the startup, in a traditional way, right? And if you are trying to start a startup, find the problem, come to the solution, that's not the best.
But perhaps research is a good way to start a startup.
I always think of startups as the development phase of the research idea. So you basically start up only when you have something researched. If you don't, don't start up.
Just a heads up, last few minutes, so if you have some questions, talk them in really fast. Do you maybe have some ideas or some opinions on the future of research? Is there something that's going to change, or is it going to be still research and development?
So I think it's, as students, research comes naturally. As computer scientists, research comes naturally. I think, in my opinion, you guys should really concentrate on the development, basically improving your development knowledge. What I mean by that is, try to become a computer science engineer, right? It is knowing about computer science, basics of computer science. It's knowing about the operating system, knowing about the algorithms, knowing about the data structures, knowing about all these basic things that are essentials in a computer science engineer. Added to this, you have to be a good programmer. Then only you can become a really good software developer or a computer science engineer. Doesn't matter whatever you call. You have to concentrate on your development, knowledge. Research comes automatically. And these two combinations, being a very good, having this aptitude towards research and this knowledge of building, products based on your research, these two combinations, being a researcher as well as a developer, it's a killer combination, and you will be successful anywhere in the world.
I heard a very nice joke about development last week that it's gonna software development is officially will be renamed to Googling Stack Overflow. Do you think that something like this could happen? That the knowledge will be so broadly available that the skills won't be necessary?
I think it will happen, but it will not be good news. In the sense that we are often doing this. We are already seeing this. That many people are just taking someone else's code that was done. It is perfectly legal. They are publishing it for everybody to use, but without understanding what they are doing. And as a result, the resulting product is really like if you put a bit of this, bit of that, bit of something else, it somehow holds together, but then it stops working at any slight gust of wind. It is not something that is actually good without understanding how things work. This is what Deepak actually mentioned. It is one of the things which tends to be underestimated very often by the developers, by the programmers, is the idea that, yes, I know, I'm master of the language, I know perfectly the syntax, I know how to do things in the language, but without understanding what is behind it, what actually does it mean if I do use this structure or something, what actually can I expect of it, what might be the problem. Sometimes the theory might be sounding very boring. Yes, it generally tends to be for many of the people, other than those who are actually really liking the math behind it. There are people who are usually like skipping over the theoretical part. Yeah, who cares what is the particular detail. But getting this understanding is pretty important for you to be able to understand better than the others. Because it's very easy to be as good as others. It is much more difficult to be better than many of the others. And this is where you can actually get the benefit of knowing how things work in addition to being able to use them efficiently. Neither of this is sufficient on its own. Being able to understand the theory and never be able to code anything is not going to help. But being able to code perfectly, as long as you are given perfect instructions, is basically going to turn you into a code monkey, not into a programmer, not into a developer. And I am seeing that, yes, programmers are getting lazy, as in those who do get the job title programmer, not the actual programmers, not the actual developers, but they claim to be so, and they are lazy getting stuff from elsewhere. But I don't really think that actual development will really get to the state that everything has been developed and you just need to put the 5 building blocks together.
Maybe just a few words.
Yeah, we have a word for this in academia. It's software archaeology. Basically, you dig up all parts of software and try to display them as something functional. And it doesn't really work because it's not completely broken, as plenty of archaeological things are broken. but it's nice to look at it. It's nice to admire, and even I have a hobby of looking at old project and code and how things were solved. But that's where it ends, because as you said, the code is only a manifestation of understanding the problem. If it's something you create to generate a solution, and to generate a solution for some problem, you basically have to understand the constraints you are working with. You have to understand the devices that the code is running on to actually develop something that has the properties you are aiming for. So you want to be fast. You can't be fast with any language. You can't be fast with any technology. Forget about it. You have to understand why and how you can be fast. And only then you can do the research to be really fast. If you don't understand that, then basically you won't be successful, because the people who understand the concepts of computing, how hardware works, how the math behind the programs works, they are much better off than understanding some syntax of some language perfectly, or understanding some specific logic perfectly. It won't generate any benefit.
Perfect. I guess that's a good way how to end this. Thank you very much for coming and spending the time with us. Thank you to our guests, Drahoš, and Deepak. Nicole, thank you very much, everyone. Good luck. Bye.